Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Three Siders Season 3, Episode 1. And the name of this episode is We Are a Family. Man, I am so happy that this show is back. I'm a huge fan of Three Siders, and I really enjoyed this first episode. This first episode had me in tears, and I have to say this was the best gift on Thanksgiving because it put me in good spirits after I watched this. I hope all of you enjoyed your Thanksgiving, and I know probably some of you are still recuperating from Thursday. I know I am. But yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves and enjoyed your family and friends. But before I get started, I want to let all of you know, if you have not already done so, you need to do it right now. Subscribe to brtbtv.com. I had that link in the description box. You can subscribe right from this video. Yes, subscribe to brtbtv.com because there are a lot of great productions going on with brtbtv, and you need to jump on and do it right now. Also, you should also check out the Triangle Fan Club on Facebook. You get everything BRTBTV. You get, updates on the shows. You get interactions from the cast and crew, as well as updates from the creator, Susan Williams. So, BRTBTV.com, Triangle Fan Club. Yes, make it happen. Also, I would like to also extend my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in Vegas, as well as as well as Texas. And also, everyone that was affected by the hurricanes, Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. If you can give any kind of relief or support, please do so because our fellow man needs our help. Now, let me get on with this review because I literally have to shout out this cast because they delivered. They delivered so well, and it's great to see, Jason Bowman back and Kiko Weinstock because and also Dominique Smith. I'm just so happy that Three Siders is back because I just love the trio. But as we see in this episode, the trio hasn't come into full effect yet. But I am hoping that the trio can make amends and can finally get back to where they are because that was the main thing of Three Siders was the three of them as friends making things happen. Okay, the episode opens up with Mason and Brandon. This is probably I think the first time they've seen each other since Brandon has now finished ever since Brandon has got out of rehab. And the reason why he came over was because if you guys been also watching Triangle Blue Velvet when they were working out Brandon's surprise party, Jabril did mention to Brandon had he reached out to Mason and Kiko. So this is him reaching out to Mason. And they pretty much talk and they bring up Kiko, and Brandon says that he eventually does want to meet up with Kiko and hash things out because he did say some hurtful things to her and he does miss her. And then Mason was like, yeah, but he was saying that today his mother's in town for a fundraiser, and that Kiko was going to be coming by, so he should, come by. But he says if he's in the area, he'll stop by. Brandon also tells him about, his brother August. For those who can watch the Triangle Blue Velvet, we definitely saw when Brandon met August for the first time. He told Mason about that. They also talked about Jarrell still recuperating from being shot. That actually Mason was behind, and we definitely saw that in season 3. And we kind of saw in Mason's face, like when he kind of brought that up, like, yeah, shit's crazy because the thing about it, Jabril did confess to Brandon what he did to Mason as far as bringing Adonis back into his life to hurt him. But we all know that Mason put a hit out on Jabril, and instead of Jabril getting hit, Jarrell took the bullet. So knowing all of this going on and seeing the two of them interact in the scene was crazy, because we definitely see Mason is holding on to that. And I definitely like Mason's new look with the dreads. I mean, they really look good on him. So it was cool to see this. And he actually, and we see that Brandon actually invites Mason to his birthday party, but then he decides not to because he says there's a bunch of drama going on with his family. You know, he hasn't talked to his father. And then also, you know, Mason tells about his family drama, that Melanie being pregnant, the family's not too happy about it. But he said that his mom's in town and that he's going to be meeting up with her later. But then, like, the funny thing about it is that Brandon at first invites Mason to the birthday dinner, and then he tells him no. So he's like, did you just invite me and then disinvite me? But he's like, look, whatever. But he says that we'll probably go out to dinner or something over the weekend. But he said that, look, I got a lot of family drama and I want to get to the bottom of it. So Mason understood. And they hugged it out, and that was the end of that. Then we get Mason and Kiko. Yo, shout out to Kiko Weinstock. I miss Kiko so much. You have no idea. I love me some Kiko. And Kiko was looking gorgeous. The hair was right. The makeup was right. And yes, she was serving the girls, honey. And I wasn't mad. You know, she got the new girls and she is flaunting them. And, you know, they pretty much her and Mason were going back and forth, doing what they normally do, taking their jabs and their shade that they throw against each other. And I have to say, Jason Bowman and Kiko Weinstock have great chemistry together, because I just love their banter going back and forth, throwing jabs at each other. I was just so living for it. Like, he pretty much says, like, one thing he said to us that, oh, wow, this is the first time you came around and you don't look like olive oil. Like, damn. And then she's like, oh. She's like, oh, it's good to see you, too. What did you shed, like 3 or 4 pounds, maybe? And he was like, no, honey, I've shed 15. So, and he's like, oh, wow, your hands. It's so nice to finally to touch your hands and they don't feel like a hammer. Oh my God, I just live for them. So they pretty much were talking. He mentions to her that Brandon had came by, and Kiko started playing with her phone because she gives no fucks about Brandon at this point. She's not feeling it. But he was saying that, look, you know, you need to be petty. You got, hopefully the fact that you got your surgery, it also worked on your brain, because she's like, don't be petty, you know, Brandon's your friend. And she was like, no, he was my friend. So we see that there's still tension there between Brandon and Kiko, but I am definitely rooting that they can get to the bottom of it and they can move on, because they were the best of friends and I love them two together. Also, he mentions that Sookie has been running the factory. And then immediately, you know, that did not sit well with Kiko, because Kiko cannot stand Sookie Woo. And she's like, oh, the health? You letting the health run our business? Really? And then, like, you know, Mason's like, look, you know, we're going to get to the bottom of that, because we do have a staff meeting. And, you know, he was saying that, you know, he also mentions that his mother, Miss Moldavia Hawkins, is going to be stopping by. And then he let her know that, look, he told her off the bat, look, do not say nothing about Troy. You know, she thinks Troy's in college, and do not say nothing about Troy. So he pretty much said, no subliminals, no shade, and no shots. She's like, and then also she asked about Melanie, and he was saying that, you know, the family didn't take it well about her being pregnant, but, you know, he was saying that, yeah, she's just been going through it, because, you know, we actually know from, I think it was from season 3, you know, Mason decided to go, him and Melanie went back to Boston for a while, so that's where Melanie is now. And, you know, he spent some time up there before he came back to Easton. But he's saying that, so he pretty much kind of like touched base with her that Melanie's doing okay, but, you know, she's kind of going through, you know, all of the, you know, all of the, pretty much, all of the stresses that comes with being pregnant, the attitude change, the mood swings, her, getting sick, morning sickness and all of that. So yeah, she's kind of going through, her pregnancy. So then we see Mrs. Modavia Hawkins. And yes, let me give a special shout out to Constance Cooper. She's a great actress. I live for her playing this role. Because I even remember asking Caesar, like, is she coming back? And he told me, yes, she is. So I was like, yes! So when I saw her, I was like, oh, Miss Claire Huxtable, Miss Claire Huxtable Dubois came in there serving all type of snottiness and snootness when she showed up. She talks about the fundraiser that she was coming to, and, I think this is the first time she met Kiko. And then she's like, oh, yes, we're raising money for the slums of Easton. And they're like, slums of Easton? What you talking about? She's like, well, for the disadvantaged. I was like, she was just serving bougie teas. Like, I was just saying, like, she was serving, like, Dubois shade. For those of you who watch Empire and you know about the Dubois family, definitely we get that with Miss Modavia with Mrs. Modavia. Yeah, I have to call her Mrs. Modavia Hawkins, because she was just going off, and then he was like, "Do you want something to eat?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm on a diet. I've been keeping my sugar down because what you made the last time, it was just too much on me. I can't do that anymore." And Mason's like, Mom, that's my macaroni cheese. You loved it. She's like, well, yes, it was then, but now, no, I can't. And I'm like, she was just serving straight bougie teas. It was just being extremely shady from the moment she walked into Mason's house. And then she was like, well, can you? She's like, and then like, he was like, well, would you like a glass of wine? And then like, Kiko's like, oh, yes, let's have some wine. And she's like, early in the morning? She's like, no, she didn't say early in the morning, but she was like, wine around this time of the day? And they both was like, there's happy hour somewhere. Which is true. So I was like, she had a point. But then, Kiko the whole time was like, can you get the bottle of wine? Can you get the bottle of wine? Because Modavia was doing the most. Oh yeah, and then they pretty much, he pretty much mentions, Miss Modavia's like, to Kiko's like, so y'all work together? She's like, yeah, we work together. And then Mason's like, the mannequin factory, remember I told you about it? I do makeup, Kiko does hair, and we work with a lot of, we do photography, and we work with a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in the industry, which is a great thing. But to Modavia, it's kind of like passe. Oh yeah, I remember now. And I'm like, girl, how you not going to support your own child in his dreams and endeavors? Which is crazy, but I'm going to get to that. Then, Mrs. Modavia brings up Troy. Now, those who saw Season 2 of Three-Siders, as well as Triangle Season 3, y'all know about Mason's nephew Troy and all of the shit that came with Troy. I mean, Troy not only got in between Kiko's relationship with Sean, but then once Mason confronted him about everything and about him being an escort, he threatened Mason that he will tell, his mom as well as Mason's mother about saying that he molested him when he was a kid, and that they'll believe me. But it was so funny because he told Kiko not to throw no shade, but Kiko was doing it. She's like, so, oh yeah, Troy's doing very well. She's like, oh yeah. Oh my God. And she's like, so, yes, and she's like, oh yes, and then Mason was like, well yeah, Kiko and Troy actually had something in common, which was Sean, of course. And she's like, oh yeah, we did. and she's like, and then she's just praising Troy, that Troy is doing so well in school. I'm like, yeah. And then Kiko's like, yeah, studying neology. I was like, ooh, that was crucial. And then she was like, and I really am proud of Troy because he actually sends money home to his mother. And then she pretty much said the worst. She pretty much said that, yeah, you should actually be more like Troy, Mason, because Troy is so responsible. And he goes like, oh, you don't want Mason to be nothing like Troy, honey. I was like, oh my God, it was so funny. And, yo, Kiko Weinstock has the perfect comedic timing, because she knows when to deliver them lines, and she is just hilarious with it. So pretty much that goes on, and Mason, this really pisses Mason off because, again, she doesn't acknowledge him for who he is and for the greatness he does. It's like nothing he does is never good enough for his mother. And he was like, Mom, I was on the dean's list, and I was valedictorian, and I got my degree in business, but obviously nothing's never good enough. So it gets to the point where he was just like, oh, so since you want to come up in here, and he's like, you know what, I'm sick of your shit. You've been coming in here throwing shade and putting us down since the moment you walked in here, but I'm out to hit you up. And then Kiko's like, no, Mason, no. She's like, Kiko, shut up. Your damn son, your damn grandson, the one you up in here praising, he's a male escort. He's a prostitute. And on top of it, he told me, if I told you guys that he would tell this lie that I molested him when a kid, that I molested him when he was a kid, and I know you don't believe that. And she's like, well, to be honest with you, Mason, I don't know what to believe. So you mean to tell me? And she's like, oh my God. It's like everybody and she's like, but Mason does, and she was like, Troy doesn't have to do that. And she's like, he lost his trust fund. So because he doesn't have a trust fund, he came down here and decided to start selling his ass. And that's how he's been sending money home to his mom. But when she said, I don't know what to believe, that even pissed him off even more. And he's like, and she said that it's funny that every time somebody comes down here, something bad happens. Melanie ends up pregnant, and Troy is a prostitute. Kiko's like, well, a male escort, darling. Oh yes, I was loving it. And then they got into it, and then he pretty much tells his mother to get out. You need to leave. I'm sick of you, and I'm sick of your bullshit. I'm getting tired of the fact that nothing I've done to you is never good enough, and I'm getting tired of you putting me down and always making me feel like I'm not worthy. And she's like, well, Mason, you could have done a lot with your life. You could have become a doctor or a lawyer or a businessman, and all you do is makeup. Really, Mrs. Moldavia? So after that, it really got heated. And then when Kiko tried to break in the middle of this, like Mason, you shouldn't do this. This is your mother. The both of them was like, shut up! like mother, like son. Like you could definitely tell that's his mom. And we actually see that they do have some commonalities. Like she's very protective of her family. Mason is like that with his friends. You know, his mother has high regards for him, that she wanted more for him. He did the same thing with Melanie, as well as Troy. So we see in the way that they love and the way they protect is the same way, but they just butt heads when it comes to each other. So he pretty much puts his mother out, and, you know, that was the end of that. So then we see that we actually go to the mannequin factory with Sookie. Sookie has a client. He pretty much, you know, did some coloring for her. But she pretty much says that, look, there's really no detail to my hair. It looked like you really didn't do anything. And he's like, oh, I am highly offended. I put a whole lot of work in your hair. Your hair was looking busted before you came in here. And now you're going to say it doesn't look like anything? I'm really insulted. But as soon as Mason and Kiko was coming, he literally rushed her out of the door. So we see business ain't been doing so well now that Sookie Woo is running the show all by himself. So we actually see Mason and Kiko and Sookie all get together for a staff meeting, and we can definitely see that, you know, Kiko and Sookie are playing nice with each other because we know the two of them can't stand each other. So he sits down and talks to them and tries to tell them that, look, we need to come together and really make the Mannequin Factory work. We are a family, we're a team, and we definitely need to make things happen. But then Mason gets a call from Melanie, and he steps out. And then the damn shade between Kiko and damn Sookie, they were a mess. And she's like, I wish you would fire your roasted marshmallow looking ass. I was like, oh shit. And then he's like, oh bitch, I wonder what doctor was crazy enough to put those templates on your chest. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, the two of them and their back and forth, their shade and the banter they were throwing between the two of them, man, had me in tears. I was laughing my ass off. But then as soon as Mason came back, they went back to playing nice. But then he kind of lets them know that, look, the Mannequin Factory is not doing so well. We're kind of in the red, and we need to turn business around. So we need to come together and make this work because we're a family, and we need to be about the business. And, you know, they kind of, you know, they pretty much they all put their hands in and say that, yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. So that's what happened there. Then this last scene had me gagging for my life. So pretty much we see that Mason's now at home, Sookie's there, and you know Mason is obviously very touchy and is very moody because of the argument he had with his mother. He shares this with Sookie, and Sookie was like, look, you know, I understand that you guys are having some issues, but you need to work it out because you only get one mother, and you know you need to make it work. And you know Mason talks about, you know, how his biological father physically abused him, and that his mother allowed it to happen, and it was supposed to be like them supposedly getting the gay out of him. And he was just saying that, you know, I'm just sick of my mother because it's like nothing I do is never good enough to her. You know, he talks about his brother Melvin, who I think was Troy's father, who's deceased, and she was saying that, you know, she was always praising Melvin, and you know, it was like, you know, and he talks about his sister Mercedes, her being a lawyer, but she's unhappy and she hates what she does. But it's like if you don't become a doctor or a lawyer, they don't want the family really don't want nothing to do with you, especially Mrs. Moldavia. So Sookie pretty much is saying that, look, you only got one mother, and you know, I lost my mother, and I wish I could have still had that, but I don't anymore. So we see that Mason and Sookie are very cool, but Sookie wants more than just a friendship. And the next thing you know, he was saying that, look, you know, you should really work it out with your mother because you only get one mother, and you know, I know what it's like to lose a parent, and I don't talk about it a lot, but it's really impacted my life. And I wish I could go back and fix things with my mom, but she's no longer here. And then like Mason's like, well, Moldavia will be fine. She got life insurance. She'll be good. And he's like, but yeah. But then he pretty much decides to go to bed because he says that, yeah, you can let yourself out. I'm going to, you know, call it a night or whatever. But he lets Mason know, he lets Mason know that he's here for them. That he's here for him, you know, whenever he needs him. And he says, okay, cool, but I'll go to bed and, you know, I'll see you later. So Mason goes upstairs, and then all of a sudden, this damn Sookie works out a plan, and she's like, I cannot wait to tear that dick up. I'm talking mouth to peas, baby. I can't wait. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it now. Tell me why the hell that damn Sookie came up in there with a big-ass fur coat like Safari on Loving Hip Hop Hollywood, and took off the pants and got the shirt open. She was ready. She was ready to take the dick. And Mason is like literally has like, you know, a towel over his head because Mason's just about had it. And all of a sudden he's like, Sookie's like, is there anything I can do for you? And he's like, yeah, I'm cool, you know, just, you still here? You know, he was like, yeah, you know, just long as you and Kiko are good and everything and y'all work out together, everything will be fine. He's like, Mason, I'm talking about you. And then the next thing you know, we see this damn Sookie takes off the coat, goes over there and crawls up in bed with Mason, and saying that, Mason, I'm here for you. And then Mason flips the fuck out. He's like, what the fuck? If you don't get the fuck up off of me, Sookie. And Sookie's still trying to, come on, you know, let me take care of you. Let me help you. And it's like Sookie was not trying to take no for an answer. He's like, you know you like our chemistry. He's like, yeah, we have a good friendship. I don't see you in this way, Sookie. And she's like, you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. Get the fuck off of me. And he's like, okay. You sure? He's like, Sookie, if you don't get your ass up out of here. He's like, fine. But this ain't the last you're going to see of me. And he's like, yeah, I'll see you at work tomorrow. And I was like, and then also Mason was like, what the fuck just happened? But I'm like, Mason, he been throwing himself at you time and time again. It's just that now she went overboard. She literally crawled up in bed and was going to take that dick one way or the other. And I was like, Miss Sookie, yo, Isaac Green, shout out to you. You are really playing this role because you had me dying. Because I was like, she came up in there with that fur coat, was like, I'm Diana Ross and I am going to get the dick tonight. Praise God. And I was like, oh my God. I was just gagging and yo, phenomenal job. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments because that's where it ended. Definitely your thoughts and opinions about this episode, definitely put them down there. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, check out my social media platforms in the description box as well. And I've also started a GoFundMe. You can also check that out as well. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Three-Siders. I'll be back with the next episode of Three-Siders. I'm so happy the show is back, y'all. So until then, everybody, take care.